Excellency, we do have a short program that will be driven mainly by your visitors, the team from the national and the Danish National Student Union. The purpose, Excellency, of this engagement this afternoon by our visitors is to pay courtesy call on your office as former President of the Republic of Zambia, but also, Excellency, to present to you their research findings with regards to access to education, improved quality education, and academic freedom in Zambia. Your Excellency, my job is very simple. I will immediately call upon Dr. Stephen Kanyakula to be the one to introduce his team, as well as the DSF coordinator, Ida, should also introduce her team, and thereafter, Excellency, we'll be following the program that is laid out before us. Thank you, Excellency. Dr. Stephen.
Okay. Thank you so much, Excellency. I'm Stephen Kanyakula, and I'm the president of the Zambia National Students Union. I'm with the team from the Danish National Students Union, which is abbreviated as DSF, and also the team from the Zambia National Students Union. I must make mention that this is not a full team, but this is just a team that is available to pay a courtesy call to your office. So with me there is the Secretary General for the Zambia National Students Union, who is Isaiah Wale Mambwe. He's also a comrade, and also Comrade Kaoma. She's our Gender and Human Rights Secretary, and also the country representative for the Commonwealth Students Association. And also have Comrade Abraham Magawa, who is our Congress Vice Secretary for Logistics. Also, maybe finish the introduction. Isaiah is also the Vice President for the Southern Africa Students Union. So he's our boss at the regional level, but I'm his boss here. So basically, that's my team. Before we go into the other things, I'll allow Kiki to introduce the other team from the DSF.
Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, I will introduce the Danish team. My name is Kiki Christensen, and I'm head of logistics from the Danish team. And then we have Ida, and she's our project leader. And we have Christian, which is in charge of public relations. And in the end, we have Helen, which is in charge of finance. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Thank you. You wish to know the people with me? You may introduce yourself, gentlemen. You're at liberty. You can even change your identity.
I'm Sylvia Vambalachakos. I'm a member of the Patriotic Front, member of Central Committee, and chairperson of Commerce, former cabinet minister, former diplomat, former everything.
Yeah, my name is Frank Nami. I am a member of the Patriotic Front, member of the Central Committee, chairperson in charge of industry. I'm also a former member of Parliament for Chipu constituency in the leadership of His Excellency President.
I'm Dr. David Shamlenge, former Permanent Secretary for Fisheries and Livestock on the government of office.
I didn't introduce myself. I'm Dr. Chris Manzimba. I'm former political advisor to the Sixth Republic of President and the leader of the Education Plan.
Martin Mbai, I'm also the Sixth President.
Akiwa Simpumbwe, Deputy Chairperson Information, member of the Central Committee for the Patriotic Front.
There are more behind them, but I think we'll do with these for now. Right.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I think I must make a mention and emphasize that the team that you're seeing here is a team of students from Zambia, which is the Zambia National Students Union. and also students from Denmark under the Danish National Students Union. I think we'd just like to appreciate that you spared your time to accord us this opportunity to engage with you, and also just maybe appreciate some of the works that you did during this of our campaign when we entered into student unionism, that we see to it that even our colleagues who are not part of those people who are benefiting from the student loans should be able to access the loans, and also just the infrastructure development. Equally, we honored about, I think, 3 public institutions by the time I think you came into office, but by the time you left us with other institutions of higher learning, of which I'm proud to say I belong to one of those that you left, which is the Levi Manawasa Medical University. So I think to us, those are things that we appreciate, and we thought it was important for us, together with the team, to pay a courtesy call on you, and also just appreciate your legacy when it comes to the issues of education. And basically, you must also know, maybe just to put it out there, that ZANASU is an umbrella body of all student unions in Zambia, and it was registered even before I think Zambia got its independence in 1958 under the Societies Act, Chapter 119 of the laws of Zambia. So ZANASU basically represents the interest of students in higher learning institutions, not only those who are studying within Zambia, but we try as much as possible to represent our colleagues who are also studying outside the borders of this country. And I should also make mention that during your tenure also, it was we made it possible through the then Minister of Affairs to give us access in the list of all our students who are studying outside the borders of Zambia. So it was easier to keep in check of all our colleagues who are studying outside the borders of this country, so that whenever there was an issue, it was easier for us to push for them, and also push their interest, not only to focus on those here, but also to focus on our colleagues who are outside the borders of Zambia, to know that they are also appreciated, and also that their efforts are being appreciated back home. So I think those are my few remarks. I think sometimes when I'm talking, I can talk on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. So I think we'll just allow Comrade Isaiah and Comrade Kevin to just run through the research findings and also some of the recommendations based on the research. And I should also make it mention that the research was done by professionals through the help of the Danish Youth Council, which supports the project that we are doing, DSF and ZANASU. So Isaiah and Kevin will just run us through the summary of the research and just brief important points that we feel speak to this gathering here.
That's the elephant.
Yes.
That's the elephant in the room, isn't it? Please go ahead.
Your Excellency, thank you for having us, first of all. I'll quickly go through the beginning of the research report before passing it on to Isaiah. First, I'll touch on the definition of academic freedom in the report. The definition that the professionals have found that made the report is that the academic freedom is that scholarly communities function best when they're free to engage in critical thinking and intellectual inquiry. It is also the academic freedom that ensures that scholars, researchers, and educators have the autonomy to pursue knowledge and to express their opinions without the fear of censorship or repercussions. Then the objectives of the report were to establish what the status is of academic freedom in Zambia's institutions of higher learning right now, but also give a benchmark, or we can use the findings as a benchmark to further where most respondents have answered that there are still problems. The ones where where most respondents were more positive in the responses were when it comes to freedom of research and freedom to teach. Yes. I'll now hand it over to Asaya, who will go through the challenges regarding academic freedom.
I said because of lack of a better term. Yeah, but
I'm here, they'll say, Lungu says this. Emphasize that you are quoting yourself. Please proceed.
Yes, there's really been public concern as to how business in Parliament is being conducted, and we are concerned because most of the challenges we're facing as students have to do with the legal frameworks, the laws and policies that exist, which have to do with maybe Higher Education Act and many other things directly affecting the academic freedoms of students. The other challenge that was raised was the issue of cultural dynamics, cultural norms, and societal pressures were also identified by some of the participants, highlighting the need for awareness programs to foster a culture that respects diverse perspectives. The other one is institutional autonomy. Kevin also referred to that one. Concerns about the lack of institutional autonomy were raised by over 60% of respondents. And I'll keep citing practical example. We currently experienced another turn-of event, which again has not sat well with us who are advocating for academic freedom and institutional autonomy, where the losing candidate of a political party was recently appointed to be Vice Chancellor of the University of Zambia, which is the highest institution of learning in this country. That again comes down to who's the paymaster. Is this person really pushing the agenda of ensuring that the people of Zambia are educated, or they are appointed politically to serve the interests of a political party? So the politicization of institutions of higher learning or the education sector in general was another challenge that was raised. The other one was the issue of legal protections. Some respondents believed that existing legal protections were insufficient. The report calls for a comprehensive review of legal safeguards to strengthen the position of academics. We'll cite another example here of where a former student who decided to take part into public service, or rather to serve the people of Zambia, was arrested by the police for simply being misunderstood, to have orchestrated or being a source of causing students to protest, which again is provided for even in the student constitution. We see this kind of intimidation from those that would want to speak when things are not okay, has also been identified as a challenge and increased during this period that the research was conducted. The other one was the issue of limited resources and poor guidance. There are not enough resources, such as funding or materials. With that, it can be difficult for educators and researchers to freely pursue their academic interests and ideas. This hinders their ability to fully explore and express their thoughts and findings, which is essential for academic freedom. I think the issue of finances or funding to education has been something we have consistently advocated for as ZANASU. Even during your leadership, Your Excellency, we came out and we told your government that there was need for your government to focus, to allocate more of the total national budget towards the education sector, because we believed and we still believe that it is the responsibility of government to educate its citizenry. The other challenge that was identified was the issue of gender disparities and societal pressures. The analysis of female participation in student affairs reveals notable gender disparities and the impact of societal pressures on female students. It is evident that female students face specific barriers hindering their full engagement in academic freedom. These barriers include cultural norms and gender stereotypes that influence societal expectations, limiting the extent to which female students can exercise their academic freedom. Identifying and addressing these challenges is crucial for creating an inclusive environment that promotes equal participation and freedom for all students irrespective of gender. In terms of the recommendations, Your Excellency, firstly, the researchers did indicate that all stakeholders deemed to have a stake in discourses of academic freedom, such as the media, the students, media and academic staff should enhance their signages in order to leave no one in the consolidation of academic freedom in institutions of higher learning in Zambia. This recommendation, Your Excellency, points out to the fact that there's little or no platforms where young people or even academics, like the lecturers who feel their rights are being infringed, can voice out, can speak when intimidated, or when they would want to make a decision that better benefits the major stakeholders who are the students. But because of that government hand in most public institutions, most people will decide to keep quiet and not be able to speak. The other recommendation is for the government to craft clear-cut legal frameworks that act as blueprints and legal backups in the fight against various violations of academic freedom in institutions of higher learning in Zambia. The violators of academic freedom take gaps in the legislation as scapegoats to defend their heels. The other recommendation is that a strong monitoring and evaluation system will help in tracking the state of
You allow me to disturb you? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm
Okay. When you talk of government hand interfering with academic freedom, are you referring to public institutions or private institutions? And either way, how it is done and how can it be avoided?
When I read what is in the report, that there's a government hand interfering in academic freedom, it comes down, Your Excellency, to the politicization of the education sector. I cited an example of a recent appointment of a losing candidate in a parliamentary election who ends up being a vice chancellor at a university. Such cases will directly lead to decisions being made in favor of political parties.
That is with regard to public institutions where the government has a say.
Yes, this is
Can you say the same thing for private institutions?
It is, Your Excellency, mostly referring to public institutions.
Okay.
But you may wish to also note that to a certain extent, government does have a say in what the public institutions have to do. I will give an example of certain organizations that are responsible for monitoring, like the Health Professionals Council of Zambia, the Higher Education Authority, Zambia Qualifications Authority. All these are institutions of government which have to have the mandate to monitor all institutions of higher learning, regardless whether private or public. Because either way, everyone who's been trained in these institutions will be employed or will work as a Zambian educated from a university or college, or will work as a Zambian educated from a university or college, not public or private, but we are all being trained to serve the same purpose.
What do you recommend could be done to avoid or reduce on that influence, given the examples you've given? Say the appointment of people in the academic circles to run public institutions, and also to run those institutions which are statutory and oversee or superintend over academic institutions.
I think this is an open question.
Yeah, it's an open question. Give me an open answer. because you see, this forum for me is godsend.
Okay, so maybe to help communities, I think there's one policy that we've been running with as an ASU, and one of the when you look at our strategic plan, one of the points there is that we want to depoliticize issue of higher learning, and we've said that if we have to play politics, maybe we can play politics. Maybe in the Ministry of Defense if we want, or maybe Ministry of Foreign Affairs if we want. But if we play with, it's played in institution of higher learning. And at the end of the day, those who are sent to represent the students do not represent the interests of the students, but they represent the interest of the political parties that supported them or that funded them to occupy those seats. So we feel we need to stay away, to completely depoliticize the education sector and let technocrats run this institution of higher learning, and appointment should be based on merit and not necessarily party inclination or maybe those who speak well about those in power at that time.
Let me not derail you. Proceed.
Okay, thank you so much, Your Excellency. I think your question is very much important because eventually at the end of this engagement, we want to map out interventions. What can we do to stop this issue of lack of autonomy for institutions? So you've left us with more homework as well to try and interventions that can be made to resolve the challenges that have been faced. The other key recommendation is the issue of sustaining the engagement of students in discourses of academic freedom and ensuring that the students and their respective students' unions are empowered in this direction. There have been isolated incidences of students in higher policy dialogues discussing the trajectory of academic freedom in Zambia, and students are informed of the minutes later. And again, on this one is very crucial for us because we are student unions, and our main business is to be a bridge between management and the students. That is at local institutions level. For us as ZANASU, it's ourselves and the government to be able to bring out the issues that are key. And we have been operating with the theme that nothing for us without us. We don't believe that people can sit and discuss the plight of students, the well-being of students, when we, the students ourselves, are not there. And if we look at what is happening today, and this one has come out as a key recommendation, there's been little or no platforms or engagements where the student unions have been put together to push an agenda that is relevant to the well-being of the students' welfare. And you may also wish to recall, Your Excellency, and I'll say this in front of you, that most of the people that voted for the current government were young people. We saw students lining up in graduation gowns to vote for the current government. And the expectation now is that there should be more platforms where young people should be able to speak, where young people should feel the decision they made was not a wasteful one, but was one that has yielded a result, and that result is that they are sitting on a round table like this to discuss what amount should be added on the student meal allowance. Can students buy meal at a cheaper price? We want those conversations to be there on a round table. And this is why this is a key recommendation, which we are even submitting to government, because we have a government in place, and we want these things to be clearly indicated to the government. We saw so many platforms under your leadership. You are not perfect, where we are able to engage with the minister and many other platforms. Practically speaking, ZANASU was given a slot in the Zambia Qualifications Authority, board to sit there, and the letter is there, where we are invited to nominate one person. But I can have a different conversation with the Minister of Education there. But this platform was there, given there. And we want this to trickle down to institutions. The Senate, which is provided for in the Higher Education Act, there is a council, there are board meetings at schools. We want to have a seat in those important meetings. Nothing for us without us. The other recommendation that came out was the adoption of a multi-stakeholder approach in the fight against various aspects of violations with respect to academic freedom. Academic freedom is crucial in a bid to uphold the rule of law. If the consolidation of academic freedom in institutions of higher learning in Zambia is to be viable, legitimate, and relevant, the process of accelerating the implementation of different activities related to the advancement of academic freedom will need to engage as broad a set of stakeholders as possible. Last but not the least, Your Excellency, the government and institutions of higher learning should create a conducive and supportive environment with all necessary conditions such as institutional autonomy, self-governance, and academic tenure to anchor the implementation of various activities meant to accelerate the consolidation of academic freedom in Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, SG. And thank you so much, Your Excellency. I think the report is quite rich, but I think we picked on things that we feel are relevant for now. And I think for now, we would want to get your feedback and also what you feel we can do in regards to the issues that we raised. So thank you so much.
Well, I think it's a contradiction. And
is quite rich, but I think we picked on things that we feel are relevant for now. And I think for now, we would want to get your feedback and also what you feel we can do in regards to the issues that we raised. So thank you so much.
Well, I think it's a contradiction and a bit of a paradox that you want to depoliticize institutions of learning on one hand, and you want to engage politicians, especially those who are in power, to influence change in how education is delivered in our institutions. Don't you think that's a bit of a paradox? Because I see a situation where you want more and more rapport or engagement with the state, especially, not the opposition where we are now, but where we were previously, where our friends are now. And that is what you'd like to be enhanced. So if we're going to let you go free, and as government or opposition, we say, no, leave them away from politics, how then do we engage? So I think this is the difficulty you may find yourselves in, and this is the difficulty probably the colleagues who are running government are finding themselves in. Because one minute you'll be saying, no, the cost of living is too high. That is a political statement. And the one who can tell whether the cost of living is too high is a student, because he's coming from a home, he's coming from the community. He knows the cost of living because he feels it. So if you do that, to me, who is sitting in State House, to me, who is in the opposition as president, I see that's a political statement. And depending on how favorable it is to my cause, I will encourage you. So if I see it as smirking of animosity and desirous of bringing me down, I'll say, he's being too political, can you deal with him? So you see what I'm talking about. This is the biggest challenge you face as students, including when you talk about freedoms. Yes, you are free. They'll give you freedom, and I think I'm an advocate for freedom. But at the end of the day, you find that when you freely speak on politics and you support me, I'll say, no, you're not being political. But when you freely speak on politics and you injure my status or my situation or my vision or my ambition, I say, no, that's being too political. You're not supposed to be political. It becomes a problem. But your findings are genuine, legitimate, and I can only say that let's find a way of airing them so that we all get to know. And I'm surprised that you are craving for student participation in decision making at the level of the institution. I've heard of schools here in Zambia where they'll pick a student, a learner, from grade 4, grade 5, grade 6 classes and say, you sit with the teachers and you listen to them and they make certain decisions so that you're able to tell them what you're thinking of your class. They call them counselors or senators in some schools and so on. It's happening. And those of you who go to these schools, which I may call elitists, that was very common. But I don't know whether it's happening at Shugo Primary School in Chimwemwe. But these are things which we should be innovative and be creative and be ready to say, look, this is a novel situation. It has never happened. And like you have said in your slogan, nothing about us without us. It's true. Because you'll be able to know meal allowances. Oh, meal allowances, you proclaimed that you have increased meal allowances, but it's not enough. Then they will tell you, no, your sources are not enough, where the resources are coming from, the resource envelope. How do we begin increasing your budgetary requirements for meal allowance at the same time when the envelope is depleting? Then you may point out that, why don't you cut down on your trips, sir? that kind of thing, because that's what comes out of dialogue. So I think that I don't want to take the positives out of this. From what you have said, there's a lot of positivity. And I can only pray that those in power now want to listen to you, because without your support, nothing will work. Just the other day, I said something about free education. I'm a product of free education myself. And free education meant I used to get books from school. I used to get, even meals, we used to get meals given to us, milk, and some biscuits at break and so on. That is true. But the resources may not be there. The question is, if the resources are not there for the government should begin revisiting its budgetary allocation and say which are the priority areas. And for me, education should be a bigger chunk of the budget. And of course, there are competing needs, there's security, there is health, there is all these things coming through. But unless we begin engaging students, we will have a difficulty because we think students are unruly, they are being influenced by the political forces, they are against us and so on. But I would like to just speak one little thing. In the last 2.5 years that I've been out of office, there has been what has been introduced as free education in Zambia. And just the other day I said I'm bemoaning the quality of free education because I saw little children clustered in a room like sardines and so on. That came after I spoke, but my worry is the quality of free education. Did you think about it? The quality of education from grade 1 to grade 7 to grade 12, and in these tertiary institutions, did you address that? Are you happy with the quality of education you encountered in lower level, grade 1 to 7, grade 7 to 12, beyond that? Did you focus on that? If you didn't, please focus on that and help me advocate for quality education. Because that is what I was calling for. I was not saying that this scrap free education. And then, you know, when I talk about quality education, it can divert to those who train the media practitioners. Because the media practitioner is supposed to be aiming for truth all the time. Somebody says, oh, look, if we form government in coming years, we'll revisit or review quality education, the quality of education that's coming under the name free education. That's what I said. But a journalist says, President Lungu says this, and says, let's have a talk show. 2 hours they're talking. And no one is challenging them to say, where did he say this? In what context did he say this? Can I have a voice bite or whatever you call it, or a video clip to show that the man said, I will do away with free education? So I began at that point questioning the quality of education in the media fraternity, those who train journalists. Are you sure this is the quality of education a journalist would say, I'm happy with it? If I was a journalist, the first thing I would say was, wait a minute. Did that man say that? Where did he say that? Was there any media professional present? Give me a footage. Give me a recording and so on. And then we'd go through it. And then I'll say, yeah, I think by implication he said this. So then let's take him on. Or if you're not clear, you say, President Lungu. Or they want to call me former president. Former President Lungu. What was president was president. No worry. So, so they would say, President Lungu, what did you mean when you said this? You have to elaborate. Then when I make myself clear, then you would say, this is what the gentleman said. Let's talk about it. And then you can begin now tearing me apart and the headlines and so on and so forth. But the quality of education, of course, does not end up with the journalists. It ends up with lawyers. It ends up with doctors. It ends up with engineers. Why do we have washed out bridges every so often? It's because of the quality of education we're offering in the engineering sector. And if we offer quality education in that area, who have people of integrity who will be able to do professional work which will last, which will save people money. And so for your research, I think that you should have gone a bit further, or I hope you did go further, to look at the quality of education in instances which can be categorized as professionals. Lawyers, are they getting good education? Are we getting good lawyers? Quality education. If they're paying fees, are the fees worth it? If it's free education, does it mean we should just sacrifice and say it's free education, therefore we should bring out, if I go to a university which is privately funded, the quality of education will be reviewed in the workmanship, the skills that I'll have. It goes the same if I go to a public institution and I bring out, I don't know what word to use, I bring out an wholesome performance. People will say, I'd rather have graduates from this institution working for me than graduates from that institution. You begin now bringing down the quality of education. You begin now despising that institution. And people begin saying, I'd rather send my child to a public school or a private school because what I'm seeing is worth it and so on. So in a research like this, I think I know that you haven't had time to go into detail to give me what your findings are. But I thought I should take advantage of this opportunity to just clarify that quality education should be quality education. If it's free, the government should spend more on free education so that people are able to equal the expectations of the syllabus and at the end of the day produce quality citizens who will be able to deliver as medical doctor, it's a medical doctor, whether you're coming from Levi Mwanawasa, you're coming from any other medical institution in the country. If you're a lawyer, you're going to produce quality legal services, whether you're coming from a private university or a public university and so on. So all I can say is thank you very much for this, and I don't want to take away. The problem is if I talk, no matter what you say, they will trash everything and say, Edgar Lungu said this. But I hope that the media will pick what you said. Because what you said is very important. It is what has provoked me to say what I've said. So if only we can listen to you, because we cannot govern and run schools and universities without you successfully, probably we can be better. So media guys, please ensure that you give headline to these people, not Lungu again. No, okay. So thank you so much. Unless the additions you wish to make, what we did for ourselves, we've been able to evaluate. I know that we were there up to 2021. Our friends have been there from 2021 to now, and you should be able to compare and contrast. And it's so contrasting, you'll be able to help those who are in power, what they can do better, without even necessarily having to beat our drum and say, oh, guys, the previous guys did better, because that is what they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that. So, you wish to say something? Vote of thanks. Yeah. Unless you have to say something. The report must be very lengthy. I would like to have a copy. Can you help me get a copy of the full report once it is released and so on? It will help us. But the quality education should be quality education, right? And then students should participate. I agree with you. But whether that should be legislated, I don't know. Whether that should be just a custom in the institution we belong to. Some universities do it out of custom. Some schools do it out of goodwill for the parents have insisted, but others probably have it in the regulations. Dean of students and all these things begin mingling, and then you have quality senates and so on. So, thank you so much. Are you done?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Huh?
It's a huge...
It's a huge thing, eh? But when are you launching it so that the public can have access to it and probably judge for themselves?
As soon as we are done, we would like to do a comprehensive statement of this engagement.
Right. Okay. So from here you're going, I know you're coming from Livingstone and you're still on it. So from here where are you going?
I think we are done with our outreach. So
okay.
We did institutions where Lady in Lusaka, we visited them, and also we shared the same report and also got their recommendations, and then we went to Livingstone to get in Central Province as well, and then Southern Province was the last one. Our comrades and colleagues will be going back to Denmark on Sunday. So tomorrow we're just dedicating it to also see the beautiful city of Lusaka, and also get one or two souvenirs like they did when
Livingstone. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, that's it. The next step, maybe in regards to this, is that we want to produce what we're calling a toolkit. So that toolkit will be used as a basis for advocacy based on the issues that came out on the report. But I should also make mention that I think we appreciate your recommendations. I think maybe our research focused on another part, but also the research findings have exposed maybe some of the issues that you've raised and things that maybe we are not a part of our objective. Started to pursue the research, but I think we are very ambitious young people, and seem to read that at least while we still can leave something that at least young people would not be doing after we leave maybe the office that we're in, they should have a different agenda that should be pushing for. We can't keep on pushing about academic freedom. I think maybe one step at a time. So now, once we have, because academic freedom also, like you said, is broad, and also part of the definition says that access to education, not just access to education, but access to quality education. Yes. So all that is incapacitated into the issue of academic freedom. I think my team and everyone here would like to appreciate that you gave us time from your very, very busy schedule to engage with us. I think to us it shows the heart that you have for young people, and also accommodating young people and engaging in this conversation that does not only shape the face Zambia, but also the shape of the academic in Zambia, and also the path that we want to lead. So before we leave, we brought you a small...
No, I just wanted to find out from the SG, meal allowances. You talked about an increase of 2 kwacha or something. But have you bothered about feeding programs for young ones in these schools? We used to provide the food to feeding programs. We had feeding programs because you can have all the freedom, but if I'm hungry, my belly is stinging, I can't hear anything, I can't learn anything. So as much as the students at high institutions are learning clamoring for increased allowances for meals, we should also look at the meal plan, feeding programs for schools where applicable. We used to do that, and I don't know whether it's being done, but it's helpful because when I'm full, I will sit there, I will listen, and I can also sing and jump, even at kindergarten. So that costs money. And then it takes us back to the budget. How are we budgeting? Are we giving priorities to travels? Are we giving priorities to children and so on? So your research is okay, it started well, but I'm sure other researchers will come and build upon it. But if you can raise these questions, they're not rhetorical questions. They're questions which are fundamental. Because once you say, we did not tackle this because we didn't have space, another researcher will come and pick it up from there and say, look, this is what should be done, and so on. So all said and done. Thank you so much for coming, for the patience. And God bless you. I just wish you the very best.
Very excellent. I'm tempted to comment on the...
Oh yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned about hidden programs. I think speaking the same language, but probably the same message, but probably different language or versions, we have been advocates for so much more than just academic freedom as access to education or that as an ASO. We also proposed something similar to what you have suggested in terms of feeding. And that is some sort of a culture we learned from the exchange programs we had with the Danes, where as a student, if I'm boarding a bus in Denmark, just using my card, university card, I get a certain discount. So those are sort of incentives which government can, and if the government that is prioritizes education really, or wants to support education direct or indirect, can put up those incentives. Not the price of minimum, price of getting a laptop. Anything I want to use that is going to contribute to my education. Of course, not alcohol or things like that. Buying a laptop, buying books, buying food. I should be able to walk into a shop at East Park and say, I'm a student at the University of Zambia. Can I buy this? And I'll be given that discount. Those are practical things we have proposed, looking at the growth in the population now and what can be possible. But of course, we still feel there's a need for mindset change, even those that are in government, in terms of how they look at certain sectors of the country.
Right. No, we can go on and on and on. Well, this subject affects all of us, and especially those of us who want to leave a good legacy. We think we can do better. Yeah, we can do better. How else shall we be remembered apart from our deeds? Because the words have proven that they're just words. But when you do it, people say that at least he did what he meant. He said what he said, and he did it, and so on. So keep on, ladies and gentlemen. It's a noble cause. Of course, we will not appreciate you now, but when you go say, there is a research report there, findings there, go and look at it, and so on. But I believe that the government in place now, the government in situ now, will listen to you and look at your findings and so on. But that's what governments do. Thank you so much.
It's a team